What up, YouTube? This is Chef, New Zealand Murder History Podcast. My show is not suitable for children. Kids, click off, please. This case will discuss hate crimes, drug dealing, murders, all done by the South Island white power. Now, if this topic is going to make you feel disturbed, well, it's best not to watch. My show is not intended to cause offense to the victims or anyone else discussed in this episode. Articles I used to research this include, but not limited to, article from the Manawatu Standard, 19th of April 2011, sad troubled start to violent life. And then we got another one on the 31st of January 2009, stuff.co.nz, West Coast communities held captive by fear. Also www.nzherald.co.nz, 1st of April 2010, skinhead owns up to killing backpacker. Now, on the topic of New Zealand Nazis, I always hear people say this dumb stuff like, skinheads are cowards. Don't believe that. The white power is stupid. Neither of these things are true, and by saying that I don't understand how they think, therefore they must be stupid, well, it's actually a dangerous thing to do, you know. You don't want to underestimate and say the danger isn't real, you know. Unfortunately, these blokes are not stupid, and they're more than happy to kill whoever, so yeah, by calling them cowards and stupid, we actually embrace denial and we feel a little safer. But unfortunately, the South Island Nazi Party are for real. They're nowhere near as powerful as they used to be. Back in the 90s and the 2000s up until 2010 sort of era, they start to diminish in power, but yeah, they're actually originally a prison gang from Christchurch men's prison, which I find quite interesting, you know. It's like, yeah, because they're a prison gang, that's why they don't have gang patches. Yeah, it all started in the early 90s by Malcolm Chaston and some other violent skinheads. And their vision was to take over the South Island. And if you think about it, it's actually pretty freaky if you've got a jail cell full of prisoners plotting to unleash some kind of white power drug dealing murder machine on the South Island. It's like their revenge, you know, for being locked up against society. I pieced this podcast together from information on the internet, also an article in the Grey Star, which is the local newspaper here in Greymouth. There was a retrospective article on Shannon Flewellen and Hayden Mackenzie, two key figures in the Westport chapter of the South Island Nazi Party. That's where we are now, Westport. This is North Beach, Westport. A prison gang from Christchurch, these guys are mostly hardcore drug addicts, but still a highly functional criminal business. South Island Nazi Party mostly robbed independent drug dealers and also involved in the distribution of marijuana and pee. Yeah, back when these guys were in their heyday, they were actually, drug dealers around here really feared them, eh? They robbed people from way south of Westport on the coast to Northern Buller. Right now we are north of the Buller, but when people say Northern Buller, they're talking about towns north of Westport. Yeah, a lot of independent drug dealers were getting stood over and all sorts of stuff by these blokes. Yeah. Although highly racist, the gang was more interested in making money than Adolf Hitler's grand plan for the human race. Although I suppose you do need money to achieve something like that. But anyway, the prison guard even wrote to the parole board about Chaston, a 41-year-old member who started this whole thing, or was one of the originals. He said that he heard him talking to prisoners in Christchurch men's prison, and he was saying that when he gets out, he's going to sex assault and murder some Sheila, so that when he gets sent back to prison, He'll be top dog. Well, that basically says it all about the characters that choose to join the South Island Nazi Party. But first, some history. Yeah, like I said, originally from Christchurch men's prison, key figures would get released, and then they would set up new chapters in the small towns they were from. Like criminals from Westport would get sent to Christchurch, meet up with these guys, and then go back to Westport and start up chapters. This was happening in their heyday. They had chapters in Dunedin, Invercargill, Westport, Christchurch, and Nelson. But there was never really that many of them. That was the weird thing. They were quite... Oh, anyway, back to the story. Yeah, basically they only enlisted hardcore skinhead career criminals. You know, their game was extortion. And that's why all the hate crimes, to make people afraid. I mean, after all, you can't have a gang without violence. Gangs work on intimidation. And they were quick to discipline their own boys if they saw fit. One skinhead tried to leave the gang after he failed to smuggle cannabis oil behind bars at Christchurch men's prison. So the Christchurch president, Ivan Gugich, and other members beat this guy really badly, Like, they actually cut his head and peeled skin off his bald head, as if to say you're not a real skinhead. They stabbed him in the chest once, and then they chopped his pinky finger off and put it in a bread bag. I think he might have smoked some of the oil, you know? That's usually what chopping a finger means, thief. Alright, some more facts. Total white power in New Zealand prison system goes. Christchurch men's prison has the most at 22. Remember, not all will be members of the South Island Nazi Party. Otago Correctional Facility has 18. Rimutaka, which is in the North Island, just north of Wellington, there's 10. And Paremuremu Prison in Auckland has only 4. However, I don't imagine that there's any members of the South Island Nazi Party in the North Island prison system. Perhaps 1 or 2. One of the 4 Auckland prisoners is the Christchurch mosque shooter. But I won't say his name because Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says not to. I'm actually not using the gang's real name either. I say South Island Nazi Party because the real Nazi Party also called themselves the Third Reich. Well, the South Island boys' real name is the same, but you add +1. And we won't say their real name on the podcast, it's just best not to do so. I also won't be using any New Zealand gang names on this podcast because, you know, they love the attention, so... Alright, let's have a look at some of these messed up murders that they done then. One hate crime that shows how premeditated they can be. Check this one out. You see, in Westport lived a trans woman called Janice Bambaro. Hayden Mackenzie was a member of the South Island Nazi Party, and he plotted to fix Mrs. Bambaro. He was quoted as saying, at the party, "We're going to waste that homo." And, "We don't like faggots." Leighton Brian Wilding, who's actually the Sergeant at Arms, he was also involved. Yeah, Janice Bambaro didn't always actually call herself Janice. She would often, perhaps even most of the time, get around in men's clothing, being called by his original name, which is James John Bambaro. And it's for this reason that it is not considered rude to refer to Janice as a man or as James. Now, I'm aware that in 2021, a case like this, it would be polite to say Mrs. Bambaro. But from the information available, Janice wasn't fussed either way. Well, anyway, Janice was at the party, and 2 members of the South Island Nazi Party were there also. And I'd like to say that it's hard to know exactly what happened. I mean, anyway, as the story goes, James Bambaro tried to give Leighton Brian Wilding a hug. This is ridiculous. Like, I mean, this guy's a sergeant at arms for the Westport Nazi Party. These guys all have swastika tattoos, you know. I mean, I'm not saying if you try to hug a Nazi that warrants you to be murdered, but I mean, come on, like, they don't really come across as very LGBTQ plus friendly kind of guys. In fact, these guys look more like the cast out of the movie Romper Stomper. Yeah, if anyone's seen that flick, Russell Crowe. It's actually really good, by the way. Older flick. Anyway, that's what they look like. So yeah, they couldn't let that one slide. No, a hug from an openly gay man, possibly dressed as a woman. Nah. They wasn't having it, eh? Yeah, Hayden Mackenzie and Leighton Brian Wilding, they pretended everything was cool. They waited for all the people to leave. They even gave the last guy a ride home. Oh, what nice fellows. And this guy, whose name, Wayne Shearer, well, he actually says in an article, check this out. New Zealand Herald article, Pair faces trial for West Coast murder, 8th of December 2004. He said he knew nothing of the disappearance until Mackenzie's mother came home at 4:30 the next day and asked if anyone had seen Mr. Bambaro. He also said some other things I found shocking, because I hadn't heard this one before. And I'm someone who does read a lot of newspaper articles on, murders and crimes and stuff like that. I mean, I loosely followed this case, but anyway. Wayne Shearer says that he himself assaulted James Bambaro because he made some kind of sexual reference to children, or sexual reference about children or something. Now, I mean, I only read this in the New Zealand Herald, but if that's all accurate, well, I mean, it does paint a picture of a very low IQ gay trans person who seriously doesn't know when to leave. I mean, staying at a party after getting bashed? Anyway, obviously Janice was very drunk. That's probably the case because Hayden and Leighton knew that she would be there when they get back from dropping Wayne Shearer off home. But anyway, it's also relevant. Remember, James Bambaro, or Janice as she was sometimes known, is no longer able to say what happened that night or any other night, having been murdered. So yeah, let's not victim blame her in the comments, eh? I mean, unless you were at the party, it's hard to say what went down, you know what I mean? Anyway, they said they were going to give Janice some drugs. And so they took her for a ride down to the Buller River, to the bridge, to do some drugs under the bridge. But that's not what they did. They drowned her in the Buller River in the middle of the night. And then they returned the next night and shifted the body to Seddonville, only to come back again, shifting Janice to the Denniston Plateau. Now, by this time, the body was stiff. Janice's body was stiff. But that didn't really bother them too much, They were just driving around with her legs sticking out of the window. They eventually would put her in a shallow grave inside a abandoned mine shaft up Denniston, North Westport, North Buller District. Anyway, nowadays the gang has less power than they ever used to. I mean, there's a few ride or die members around on the West Coast. I mean, as individuals, they're probably still very dangerous, but they don't really have the same presence like in the 90s and the 2000s. Also, sometimes the South Island Nazi Party would be victims themselves. Like one time, two Maori boys killed one of their crew, Tony Keith Walsh, at a party in Westport in 1994. And it's hard to get information on this one, but I don't think Tony Keith Walsh was a full member. He might have just been a family member of or associate or something. But yeah, Dean Parata and his son Benton Parata were involved in, I'm not sure what happened there. Like, Benton Parata smashed this other guy over that night. Dean got done for the killing of Tony Keith Walsh, but was Benton Parata involved as well? Some sources say he was. But anyway, Benton Parata would actually get killed himself in a prison murder by the Maori Mafia in 2005. Yeah, the beating murder of Benton Parata was done by 3 Maori boys, further jailed on murder and manslaughter charges. And Benton Parata was only back in prison on drink driving and parole violation charges. Yeah, so anyway, in conclusion, drinking at Westport house parties is likely to result in serious injury up to and including death. Now let's talk about the Christchurch boys. The Christchurch branch of the South Island Nazi Party would also be run out of town by a coordinated effort from Maori biker gangs. Also, the Christchurch cops would have had a hand in their downfall. In Nelson, the South Island Nazi Party, well, they car bombed one of the cars outside the Lost Breeds HQ. Yeah, Lost Breeds and South Island Nazi Party were having a war in Nelson at the time. Yeah, the thing about New Zealand is everyone says it's a safe country, but it's not. I mean, yeah, when people land here, they're off guard to what can happen. Like Grace Mullane, for example, you know. I mean, it's a safe country, so. But she wasn't the first, and she won't be the last. You check this one out. It's bad. 2003, somewhere in February. Actually, no, sorry. This is just a no-date one. It's just from 2003. I didn't have the actual date on the article. Anyway, 2003, and Jae Hun Kim was hitchhiking south on the West Coast Road. He was standing just down from the turnoff to the Bulla. Yeah, the Bulla Gorge goes east, or you can go down the Coast Road. He was going down the Coast Road, State Highway 6. Anyway, a car pulls up, and this Korean hitchhiker has no idea. Yeah, no idea that in just half an hour, well, he's going to be the victim of a hate crime. Shannon Flewellen and Hayden McKenzie take the victim to scrubland down the Tirapahi track, where he gets strangled and they stomp on his neck. Yeah, that's south on the Coast Road they killed him. He gets hidden in the bush, and the Nazi boys would return and shift the body to a second location, which seems to be their MO. Yep, Jae Hun Kim, well, he got stabbed in the chest a few times with a fountain pen, and they cut his head off with a spade before burying him in a shallow grave in the bush. So, I mean, of course, it's hard to say, you know, like, they said they stabbed him with the pen when he was already dead. Maybe they stabbed him when he was still alive. I'm not sure what the autopsy proved, but that was their story anyway. Stabbed him with the fountain pen when he was already dead. It's hard to know. Mackenzie would later get 21 years for this murder, leading police to the grave in 2008. Shannon Flewellen got 16 years, and the third skinhead in the car that day gave evidence against Hayden and Shannon and was not charged. Shannon Flewellen also escaped a courtroom when he was going up on assaulting two Asian blokes in Bradford Park. Another time he escaped from a prison van when they had to slow right down for roadworks in Kaikoura. Another time a bloke by the name of Malcolm Chaston, well, check this dude out. So now we're talking about the guy who, one of the original starting members of this monstrous, what even is this thing, white power giant squid monster. Anyway, in 1989, still a teenager at the time, Malcolm Chaston raped a 24-year-old girl at knife point for over 3 hours. Yeah. She picked him up hitchhiking. Malcolm would also try to escape prison. His crimes include possession of firearms, also explosives, assault on prison guards. He's currently serving 20 years for murdering Vanessa Pickering. And it's a nasty one. Check this one out. Yeah, 20 years for the Vanessa Pickering murder and preventative detention for 2 sex assaults. Yeah. And it was funny, well, not funny, funny, but check this out. Prison guards at Christchurch Men's, well, they said that he would kill a woman if released from jail. This next quote is from an email a guard wrote to the Sensible Sentencing Trust. Check this one out. I mean, this guy must be really institutionalized. He loves prison. He fits in well. And will definitely come back. But not until some poor woman gets murdered. Who will be responsible for this? Unfortunately, that poor woman was Vanessa Pickering. I'm reading that before the Vanessa Pickering murder, Malcolm Chaston had tried to leave the South Island Nazi Party, even getting some of his swastika tattoos laser removed, and changing his name to Mania Poto Walker. I guess you can take the swastika off a Nazi, but he's still a Nazi. Check this one out. This is from Killer Understands If Family Want Him Dead, 6th of May 2011. .nzherald.co.nz. Miss Pickering's mother, Rachel Kitson, told the Herald the letter meant nothing to her, so the letter that Chaston sent her. It just makes me angry. Chaston, 41, killed Mrs. Pickering, 27, on the same day in February last year. He also attacked 2 other women with intent to commit a sex crime. So this is all on the same day. Yeah, this is all the same day he stabbed Vanessa Pickering so badly that he broke the handle of the knife when he was stabbing her in the car. Now here's the thing. I think that he actually stabbed her in front of the kiddie because he later on that day dropped the 7-year-old daughter of Vanessa Pickering off in a field and just drove away. So she must have been in Vanessa Pickering's care when he murdered her. 7-year-old. Well, the South Island Nazi Party were also responsible for the murder of 23-year-old Hemi Huntley. Yeah, Hemi Huntley was a greymouth Maori boy, and he was drinking up in Westport. And he got beaten really badly, well, murdered, by Aaron Howie and Nehana Foster. And they threw him into the Buller River. Now, Nehana Foster actually has some Maori heritage. And, yeah, when the cops mentioned this to Nehana, he said his dad is white and his heart is white. So, it kind of gives you an idea, like, I mean, I'm guessing it's a small town, Westport. I'll actually go for a drive shortly. I'll show you guys Westport. It's a cool town, but small, you know. They would have known this guy growing up, and they would have had beef with other Maoris, and they would have disliked Maoris they didn't know, but they were like, oh yeah, no, we knew him from school, you know. I mean, you know, a lot of Maoris these days do have quite white skin, like, it's a fact. So, it's actually quite possible, although I'm not really sure, it's just what I heard, that this guy Hemi Huntley was giving Nehana some kind of hassle, saying to him, hey, why are you in the skinhead organization? I know your family, you're part Maori, like, what are you doing? I'm not sure. That's what I heard anyway, but if that's true, that would make sense that they wanted to kill him for that, because that would have really angered the, this guy, you know, and this guy's obviously useful to the gang. He's probably one of their enforcers or something, so, yeah, he couldn't handle the disrespect, and they, well, they beat him unconscious, took his clothes off, and threw him in the Buller River naked, and he drowned. Yeah, Hemi Huntley from Greymouth. It was whack. Yeah, so Aaron Howie, he got done for the murder. He got 14 years. Nehana Foster, I think he may still be in prison. I couldn't find whether he'd been released or not yet, or what other crimes he's committed. Apparently he smoked some synthetic cannabis, and the guards have to, I don't know, make sure he was all good and stuff like that, but that was all I was able to see on online. But yeah, other ones include, well, this is just one I remember, but anyway, as I recall, the Sergeant at Arms, shit, I'm going to have to jump out of the way. I've got another car. I'm just going to jump out of the way, because this fella will want to get out of here. Hey, bro. Alright, bear with me, people. Alright. Let's see if we can't finish this podcast. This isn't the first time I've tried to record this one today. I parked there because my phone keeps overheating. Alright, let's see if we can do this. Maybe if I do this window up and this one down a bit, that'll be right. Alright, where were we? Nahana Foster. Yeah, as I recall, they're Christchurch Sergeant at Arms, so we're back in Christchurch now. Anyway, he raped and killed a deaf girl that he arranged to buy a van off. Also sex assaulting a Dunedin student on her way home from drinking at the Octagon. Yeah, he punched her in the head, threw her in the bushes. He tied a noose around her neck and choked her out. Yeah, so they're pretty dangerous people, you know. Yeah, definitely blokes you want to keep away from. You see, this gang, they never really had a lot of members. And like the crew who ran Westport in Northern Bulla District, they're probably 8 skinheads, maybe less. Like, I mean, like they definitely had like heaps of associates and, you know, drug dealers that worked for them and other people in their crew, but full members, yeah, and we're talking like not just Westport. They run Northern Bulla and then south of Westport all the way to, or halfway to Greymouth, I suppose. And there used to be a small amount of them down by Greymouth as well, but not very many, like 2 or 3. I'm not really sure, eh? But yeah, like I said, they don't really run the streets like they once did, you know? But I'd imagine that the boys in the prison system, well, they probably still click up for protection from the Maori Mafia, etc. The end. Alright, well, that's it. That's my podcast. We're going to go for a drive now. Let's see if I can't set this up without pushing the off button. It's not too bad if I do. We just have to re-record the second part. We're going to do some on-location stuff. Set this one up. I'm just going to have to... Wait, hang on. Right, yeah, that's good. Bring this mirror in. There we go. Alright, let's take a drive. I'll show you guys Westport. Kawateri in Māori. I believe that's the name of the river, Bulla River. Yeah, Kawateri. Alright. So here we are, this is North Beach. Yeah. Let's go for a drive. Yeah, it's cool up here. I mean, it's not bad anyway. People are camping, people are having a good time. I don't see any Nazis around. It's a nice day, you know. A small town New Zealand, you know, there's always trouble. Some small towns more so than others. But yeah, let's take a drive. Westport, it's about 5,000 people here. There used to be more, but people left, you know, the mines closed up, jobs dried up, people left to find work. And although there's a few problems here, it's actually a pretty cool place. I don't really know any of the Maori history up here at all, really. not a bad town. Turn right up here. To our left, that's Kilkenny Park. I can't really move the camera while I'm driving, but yeah, it's just a little park, I guess. It's very plain up here. It's like salted potato chips, you know, without the flavouring. They're good, but sometimes you just can't help but want something more. Alright, let's go down here and see what's up. See what we can find. Find some history. Hopefully that wind's not coming in too much, but it's a constant battle because if I keep the windows up, I got better sound, but then my phone cuts out because it's too hot. It turns the app off. What can you do? Life's hard, I guess. Alright, let's go down Bright Street. Yeah, what's this town known for? Coal mining. There's a rapper from Westport called AI, and he's actually pretty good. Sometimes I play his CD at work. Alrighty. Give way. Queen Street, Bright Street. Alright, let's go down here. Let's get back to the main drag. Something I want to show you. Alright, Russell Street cuts. Bright Street, Russell. Oh, come on. So down Westport, there's all the shops are on one street, almost all of them anyway, which is slightly different to Greymouth, which also isn't so big. To the right, we've got Tallies, but that's not what I came to show you. To the left, so check this out as I go to turn, you're going to see a building, and that one, yep, that one, that's their old tinny house. Let's just turn the camera a bit. I don't know if you guys can see that.